Hey guys, tonight we're going back further than we've ever gone before. Not to ancient Egypt, not to Rome, not even to the first cities. We're going back to a time before letters existed, before words had structure, before humans could write anything down. A time when communication wasn't about speaking, it was about surviving. Today we're asking, how did humans communicate before language, as we know it even existed? Because let me tell you, every conversation was a gamble. Every misunderstanding could be fatal. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Welcome to 10,000 BCE, a world without alphabet, without grammar, without the ability to say tomorrow or yesterday. You can't ask for help. You can't explain danger. You can't even say your own name. Can you survive? Let's find out. You open your eyes in 10,000 BCE. You wake up slowly. Your head is pounding. Your body aches. And something feels wrong. You're lying on the ground. Not a bed. Not even a mat. Just cold, hard earth, covered with dried grass and animal skins. Above you there's no ceiling, just a rough shelter made from branches, bones and hides. Smoke drifts through gaps in the structure. You sit up, disoriented. Where are you? You look around. The shelter is dim, lit only by a small fire in the center. The flames flicker, casting dancing shadows on the walls. There are other people here. 5, maybe 6. All huddled around the fire, their faces smudged with dirt and ash. They're wearing animal skins, crude, roughly cut pieces of leather and fur wrapped around their bodies. Their hair is long, matted, tangled, and they're staring at you, not with curiosity, not with concern, with suspicion. You open your mouth to speak, to say something, anything. Where am I? The words come out clearly, in English, your native language, but they don't react. They just keep staring. You try again. Can you understand me? Do you speak English? Nothing. One of them makes a sound, a low guttural grunt. Erg. Another responds with a series of short, sharp sounds. Ko. Ko. No, they're not speaking. Not in any language you recognize. These aren't words, they're sounds. Noises, vocalizations that might mean something, or might mean nothing. And suddenly, you realize where you are. You're in the Neolithic era, around 10,000 BCE, before writing, before structured language, before vocabulary as you know it even existed. And you just tried to communicate using words that won't be invented for another 12,000 years. Your words mean nothing here. You're panicking now. You try again, slower this time. I need help. But the words are useless, meaningless sounds to them. One of the people stands up, a man, probably, tall, muscular, scarred. He walks toward you, his eyes narrow. He says something, a string of sounds. Ga no ka ra. You have no idea what it means. Is he asking a question? Giving a command? Threatening you? You shake your head. I don't understand. He repeats it, louder this time, more aggressive. Ga no ka ra. You flinch. Your hands go up defensively. The man stops. He looks at your hands, at your posture, and then he relaxes slightly. Because even though you didn't understand his sounds, your body language communicated something. Fear, submission, non-aggression. He grunts again, softer this time. Then he points at the fire, then at you, then makes a gesture with his hand, bringing it to his mouth. You understand, he's asking if you're hungry, not through words, through gesture. You nod quickly, copying his gesture, hand to mouth. He nods back, turns, walks to the other side of the shelter. He picks up something, a chunk of cooked meat on a bone. He brings it to you, drops it in your lap. You look down at it. It's charred, greasy, still warm. You look up at him. Thank you. He doesn't react to the words, but he sees your facial expression, the gratitude in your eyes. He grunts, then turns away. You just had your first conversation in 10,000 BCE. No words, no sentences, no language, just sounds, gestures and you realize something terrifying. This is how you'll communicate from now on. Every interaction will be a guessing game, every message a gamble, because in this world, words don't exist yet, and you'll have to survive without them. They make sounds you've never heard. You sit there holding the meat, listening. The people around the fire are talking, or at least, they're making sounds at each other, but it's not conversation as you know it. It's a series of grunts, clicks, vowel sounds and guttural noises. No, co, rad, rad, no. Sometimes they point while making sounds. Sometimes they gesture with their whole bodies. One woman slaps her thigh repeatedly while making a rhythmic sound. Another responds by making a higher pitched sound and raising her hands. Are they arguing? Agreeing? Telling a story? You have no idea. The sounds themselves are strange, unfamiliar. Some are guttural, coming from deep in the throat. Others are nasal, vibrating through the nose. There are clicks made with the tongue against the roof of the mouth, pops made with the lips. These aren't the refined phonemes of modern language. These are raw, primal sounds, the kinds of sounds early humans made before language evolved into structured speech, and you can't replicate most of them. You try, you make a grunt. They all turn to look at you. One of them makes a different sound. You try to copy it. Close but not quite right. They exchange glances. One of them makes a sound that might be laughter or mockery. Hard to tell. You're an outsider here. Not just culturally, linguistically. You can't speak their language, because it's not really a language yet. It's proto-language, pre-language, sound-based communication that's barely more sophisticated than what animals use. And you're going to have to learn it, fast, because if you can't communicate, you can't survive. And survival here, it's not guaranteed. Every message is physical. The next morning, you wake up stiff and cold. The fire has died down to embers. The shelter is freezing. The others are already awake, moving around, preparing for something. One of them approaches you, the same man from last night. He makes a sound, crrr, then he gestures toward the entrance of the shelter. You don't understand the sound, but the gesture is clear. Come with me. You stand up, follow him outside. The world beyond the shelter is harsh, cold, grey. You're in a valley. Hills rise on either side. The ground is rocky, dotted with scrubby plants. In the distance you can see a forest, dense, dark. The man points toward the forest, then makes a series of gestures. He mimes holding something, then pulling back, then releasing. A bow. He's miming a bow and arrow. Then he points at himself, then at you, then at two other men nearby. You understand. They're going hunting, and they want you to come. You nod. The man makes another sound. On approval, acknowledgement. You're not sure, but you follow. As you walk, you realize something. Every single message in this world is physical. There are no abstract concepts. No maybe. No later. No because. Everything is concrete, immediate, visible. If they want you to follow, they point and walk. If they want you to stop, they put up a hand. If they want you to be quiet, they put a finger to their lips, or sometimes just grab your arm and squeeze. It's exhausting, because you're constantly watching, reading, interpreting. Every gesture could mean something. Every facial expression matters. You're learning a new language, but it's not made of words. It's made of bodies. You point, you mime, you act. The hunt begins. You're deep in the forest now, moving slowly, quietly. The men communicate with tiny gestures. A raised hand means stop. Two fingers pointed at their eyes. Then forward means look. One of them spots something. He freezes, points. A deer, about 50 yards away, grazing. The leader, the man who woke you, looks at the others. He makes a series of quick gestures. You spread out, circle around. He points at you, then points to the left. You're supposed to go left. You think. You move carefully, trying to stay quiet. But you step on a branch. It snaps. The deer's head jerks up. The leader shoots you a glare, but he doesn't speak. Can't speak. Instead, he makes an angry face, bares his teeth, slashes his hand through the air. The message is clear. You messed up. The deer bolts. The men chase. You run after them, struggling to keep up. One of them is fast, incredibly fast. He closes the distance. He throws something. A spear. It hits the deer in the side. The animal stumbles, falls. The men converge on it, finish it off, and then they celebrate, jumping, slapping each other on the back, making loud, joyful sounds. Aye, aye. No words, just noise. But the emotion is crystal clear. Victory, success, food. The leader looks at you. He points at the deer, then mimes cutting. You're being told to help butcher it. You nod. You don't have a knife, but one of the men hands you a sharp stone. You awkwardly start cutting. You've never done this before. One of the men watches you, shakes his head, takes the stone from you. He demonstrates. Slow, deliberate cuts, showing you how. No words, no explanation, just demonstration. This is how they teach, how they learn. By watching, by copying, by doing. You try again. This time you do better. The man grunts. Unapproval. You just learned a skill, without a single word being spoken. Misunderstandings are deadly. That night, back at the shelter, something goes wrong. You're hungry. You reach for a piece of meat near the fire, but before you can grab it, one of the men slaps your hand away, hard. You pull back, shocked. He makes an angry sound. He points at the meat, then at himself, then makes a slashing motion across his throat. You don't understand. Is the meat his? Is it poisoned? Is he threatening you? You back away, hands up, but he keeps advancing, still making angry sounds. The others are watching, tense, ready. You're terrified. You have no idea what you did wrong. You try to speak. I'm sorry. I didn't know. But the words mean nothing to him. He grabs your arm, hard. His grip is iron. You try to pull away. He doesn't let go. And then the leader intervenes. He makes a sharp sound. The angry man stops, looks at the leader. They exchange sounds. Quick, intense. Finally, the angry man lets go of your arm. He spits on the ground near your feet. Then he turns and walks away. You're shaking. The leader looks at you. He points at the meat, then at the angry man, then makes a circling gesture around the fire. You understand now. The meat belonged to that man, and you tried to take it without asking. In a world without language, that's theft, and theft can get you killed. The leader picks up a different piece of meat. He hands it to you. You take it, nod gratefully. But the lesson is clear. Misunderstandings here aren't just awkward, they're dangerous. Because when you can't explain yourself, people assume the worst, and assumptions can be dead. Tone is everything. Over the next few days, you start to notice something. It's not just what sounds people make, it's how they make them. The same grunt can mean different things depending on tone, pitch, and volume. N, said softly, may be a greeting or acknowledgement. N, said sharply, a warning or command. N, said long and low, may be uncertainty or thinking. N, said loud and aggressive, anger or threat. The sound itself is almost meaningless. The emotion behind it carries the message. You start paying attention, really listening. When someone makes a high-pitched sound, it usually means surprise or alarm. When someone makes a low, rumbling sound, it usually means comfort or calm. When someone repeats a sound rapidly, ka, 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 it means urgency. When someone drags out a sound, it means hesitation or doubt. You're learning to read emotion through sound. And slowly you start to understand them better. Not what they're saying, but what they're feeling. And in a world without words, that's everything. One afternoon, A child approaches you. She makes a soft, questioning sound. Mm? Her tone is gentle, curious, non-threatening. You look at her. She's holding something. A small carved stone. Some kind of toy or tool. She holds it out to you. Makes the sound again. Mm? You take it, examine it. It's smooth, worn from handling. You make a similar sound back, trying to match her tone. Mm. She smiles, takes the stone back, runs off. You just had a positive interaction. Not because you spoke, because you matched her emotional tone. That's the key. Tone is everything. Screams mean danger. One afternoon, you're gathering wood near the shelter when you hear it. A scream. Not a word. Not a sentence. Just a raw primal scream. In. Every human in the camp freezes. Then they move. Fast. Grabbing weapons. Spears. Stones. Clubs. Running toward the sound. You run too. Your heart pounding. You don't know what's happening. But you know it's bad. You reach a clearing. A woman is there, backed against a tree, and in front of her a wolf, lean, hungry, snarling. The men spread out, forming a semicircle. They don't speak, don't shout instructions. They just move, coordinated, instinctive. One of them makes a sharp sound. PSS. The wolf's head turns. Another throws a stone. It hits the wolf in the side. The wolf yelps, backs away. The men advance, making loud aggressive sounds. The wolf hesitates, then turns and runs. The woman collapses, sobbing. The men gather around her, touching her shoulders, making soft sounds. Comfort, reassurance. No words, but the message is clear. You're safe now. You realize something profound. Screams are universal. They don't need translation. Fear, pain, danger, these emotions cut through all barriers. And everyone responds, immediately, instinctively, because survival depends on it. In the modern world, you might hear a scream and think, should I call the police? Is it my business? Here, a scream means action. Now, no hesitation. Because in 10,000 BCE, every scream could be your last chance to save someone, or to save yourself. Rhythm creates meaning. That night, something different happens. The tribe gathers around the fire, but this time, they're not just eating or resting. They're making sounds together. One person starts, a rhythmic slapping of hands on thighs. Thump, 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 thump. Another joins in, clapping, clap, clap, clap. Then someone starts making a sound with their mouth. Or others join, creating harmonies, overlapping rhythms. It's music. Sort of. Primitive music. No instruments except their bodies. No melody in the modern sense. But it's coordinated, intentional, beautiful in a raw way. And then one of the men stands. He starts moving, dancing, stomping his feet in rhythm with the sounds. He gestures as he moves, telling a story. He mimes holding a spear, throwing it, an animal falling. The others watch, entranced. He's telling the story of today's hunt, through movement and rhythm. This is how they remember, how they share history, not through words, through performance. When he finishes, others clap, make approving sounds. Then another person stands, tells a different story. This one is about the wolf, the woman, the rescue. Again, no words, just movement, gesture and rhythm. You watch, amazed. This is proto-language, pre-verbal communication. Rhythm, tone, gesture, emotion, all combining to create meaning. It's not language as you know it, but it works. And you realize humans have always communicated, always told stories. We just didn't always need words to do it. They draw to communicate. A week has passed, maybe more. Time is hard to track without calendars or numbers. One morning the leader approaches you. He makes a gesture. Follow. You walk with him, away from the camp, into the hills. After about an hour, you reach a cave, dark, hidden behind rocks and brush. The leader makes a sound, then lights a torch, a stick wrapped with dried grass and animal fat. He enters the cave. You follow. Inside, the walls are covered with images. At first, you can barely make them out in the flickering torchlight, but as your eyes adjust, you see them clearly. Animals, dozens of them, painted in red and black ochre. Bison, deer, horses, mammoths. Some are simple outlines, others are detailed, shaded, almost lifelike, and there are handprints, human hands pressed against the wall, pigment blown around them, leaving negative images. The leader points at the paintings, then at himself, then makes a gesture, running his hand across the wall as if painting. He's telling you, we made these, but why? He points at a bison painting, then mimes throwing a spear, then points outside, toward the forest. You understand, this isn't just art, it's communication. It's a record, a plan, a story. They painted the bison before they hunted it, or after, or both. Maybe it's magical thinking, painting the animal to ensure a successful hunt. Maybe it's practical, showing others what animals live nearby. Maybe it's historical, recording successful hunts for future generations. Or maybe it's all of these things. This is the closest thing to writing that exists in this world. Visual symbols that carry meaning. And you're looking at humanity's first attempt to communicate across time. To say, we were here. This is what we did. Remember us. Drin, pictures tell stories. The leader points at another section of the wall. Here the paintings are different, more complex. There's a human figure, small, stick-like, holding a spear, and facing it, a massive animal. Maybe a bear, maybe a mammoth. Hard to tell. The human figure has a spear through its chest, red paint streaking down. The animal is also wounded, bleeding. The leader touches the painting, then looks at you. He's silent for a moment. Then he makes a low, mournful sound. Ooh, you understand? Someone died here, in this hunt, and they painted it. To remember, to honor, to warn. He points at another painting. This one shows multiple humans surrounding an animal, working together. Then he makes a gesture, bringing his hands together, interlocking fingers. Together, unity, cooperation. The message: when we hunt alone, we die. When we hunt together, we survive. This is their history book, their instruction manual, their memorial, all in pictures, because pictures don't require language. They transcend it. A bison is a bison, whether you call it bison or erg or have no word for it at all. The image communicates directly, and you realize this is why humans started painting. Not for beauty, for survival, to pass on knowledge, to coordinate hunts, to remember the dead. Art wasn't art yet. It was language. But what does it mean? But here's the problem. Pictures are ambiguous. The leader points at another painting, a series of dots arranged in a pattern. He makes sounds, caw, caw, caw. He's trying to tell you what it means, but you don't understand. The dots stars, days, people, counting something. You shake your head. He tries again, makes different sounds, gestures differently. Still you don't get it. He's frustrated. You can see it in his face, because this is the limitation of visual communication. It's open to interpretation, without a shared language, without context. Images can mean anything. That bison could mean, there are bison here, or we killed a bison here, or we will kill a bison here, or beware of bison, or we worship bison. The meaning isn't inherent in the image, it's in the shared understanding between the people who made it and the people who see it. And you are an outsider. You don't share that understanding. So the paintings are beautiful, fascinating, haunting, but only partially comprehensible. Like trying to read a book in a language you don't know. You can see the letters, but they don't form words. They don't create meaning. The leader finally gives up trying to explain. He makes a resigned sound. He gestures toward the exit. Time to go. As you leave the cave, you look back one last time at the paintings. Humanity's first attempt at permanent communication. Imperfect, ambiguous, but powerful. And you understand, this is how writing will eventually be born. From pictures, from symbol, from the desperate human need to communicate across time and space. But we're not there yet, not even close. For now, these paintings are the best we have, and they'll have to be enough. Eyes communicate fear or trust. Back at camp, you're learning to read people in ways you never had to before. In the modern world, you could ask someone, "Are you okay?" or "Can I trust you?" Here, you have to read their body, their face, their eyes, and you're getting better at it. You've learned that direct eye contact can mean different things depending on context. Hold someone's gaze too long. That's a challenge. Aggression, a threat. One of the younger men did this to an older warrior yesterday, stared at him while making a low growl. It almost came to blows. Others had to intervene, physically pulling them apart. But avoiding eye contact entirely? That's submission, fear, weakness. You've noticed the children do this constantly. Eyes down when adults approach, a sign of respect, or maybe self-preservation. And then there's the middle ground, brief eye contact, followed by a look away. That's acknowledgement, neutral, safe. You've started copying this, making brief eye contact when someone approaches, then looking slightly to the side. It seems to work. People relax around you more now, but eyes communicate more than just social hierarchy. You've learned to recognize fear, pupils dilating, eyes darting, whites showing. When someone looks like that, danger is near. Always. You've also learned to recognize trust, soft eyes, steady gaze, slight crinkling at the corners. When the leader looks at you like that, you know you're safe, accepted, part of the group. And you've learned that eye contact can be intimate, bonding. When two people stare into each other's eyes while making soft sounds, they're not threatening each other. They're connecting, forming a relationship. You saw it between a man and woman last night. Long, sustained eye contact, gentle sounds. Then they walked off together. No words, but the message was clear. In a world without language, eyes do half the talking. Posture shows dominance. Physical stance matters here, more than you ever realized. Stand tall, chest out, shoulders back. That's dominance, authority, power. The leader does this constantly. Even when he's relaxed, his posture commands respect. Slouch, shoulders hunched, head down. That's submission, deference, sometimes fear. The weaker members of the tribe, the elderly, the injured, the children naturally adopt this posture around stronger individuals. And you've learned to adjust your posture depending on who you're interacting with. Around the leader, you make yourself smaller, less threatening. Around the children, you stand taller, protective. Around equals, you mirror their stance, neutral. It's exhausting, constantly monitoring your body, adjusting, performing, but it's necessary because your posture communicates your intentions before you even make a sound. Stand the wrong way at the wrong time, and you send the wrong message. You saw this happen. A stranger approached the camp 3 days ago, another human from a different tribe. He stood tall, aggressive stance, chest puffed out. The leader immediately responded in kind, stood taller, broader. The two men faced off, sizing each other up, neither speaking, just posturing. Finally, the stranger backed down, lowered his head, hunched his shoulders slightly. Submission. The leader relaxed, made a welcoming gesture. The stranger was allowed to stay, share food, rest. But if he hadn't submitted, if he'd maintained that aggressive stance, there would have been violence, guaranteed. All because of posture. No words needed. Touch builds connection. Touch is everywhere here. In the modern world, you're taught to respect personal space, to ask before touching, to maintain distance. Here, touch is constant, essential, life-saving. People touch each other all the time, casually, purposefully. A hand on the shoulder means reassurance. A pat on the back means approval. Grabbing someone's arm means urgency or warning. Pressing foreheads together means deep connection. Trust. You've seen mothers hold their children constantly. Not just even older children, 5 or 6 years old, are held, carried, touched. Because touch says you're safe, I'm here, you're not alone. And in a world full of danger, predators, starvation, disease, that message matters. Touch also establishes hierarchy. The leader touches others freely, shoulders, heads, arms. But others don't touch him unless invited. That's the rule. The stronger you are, the more you can initiate touch. The weaker you are, the more you wait to be touched. You've learned to wait, to let others touch you first. And slowly they're starting to. A hand on your shoulder after a successful hunt. A pat on the back when you do something right. Each touch is acceptance, integration. You're becoming part of the tribe. Not through words, through different tribes, different sounds. 2 weeks in, another group arrives. You hear them before you see them. Making sounds. Loud, unfamiliar sounds. Your tribe tenses, weapons are grabbed. Everyone moves into defensive positions. But then the leader recognizes something. He makes a sound, not aggressive, cautious. Oh, the strangers appear. 5 of them. 3 men, 2 women. They're human, obviously, but different. Their clothing is slightly different. Their tools are shaped differently. Their hair is styled differently. And the sounds they make, completely different. Your tribe makes sounds like ka and roar. These people make sounds like tor, ses, lelo. Different phonemes, different proto-language. The 2 leaders face each other. They don't speak, can't speak to each other. Instead, they gesture, point, mime. Your leader points at the fire, then mimes eating. The stranger leader nods, makes a sound. Ses tolo. Your tribe has no idea what that means. But the gesture was clear. The strangers are invited to share food. They sit, eat. But the 2 groups don't mix. They stay separate, watching each other. Wary. Because they can't communicate. Not really. Or they can gesture. They can point. They can mime basic things. But complex ideas, impossible. You watch as one of your tribe members tries to tell a stranger about yesterday's hunt. He mimes throwing a spear, mimes an animal falling. The stranger nods. But does he actually understand? Or is he just being polite? There's no way to know, and that's terrifying. Because misunderstandings between tribes can lead to violence, war, death. Without a common language, every interaction is a risk. Jess, no universal language. You realize something profound. There is no universal human language. Not yet. Every tribe, every group, has developed its own system of sounds and gestures, and they're not compatible. Your tribe uses a low grunt for agreement. The stranger tribe uses a high-pitched sound. E. Your tribe points with a flat hand. They point with a single finger. Your tribe nods to say yes. They tilt their heads to the side. None of these differences are huge, but they add up, and they create barriers. The Bible talks about the Tower of Babel, how God confused human languages so people couldn't understand each other. But the truth is, we did that ourselves. As humans spread out across the world, each group developed its own communication system, and without contact, without exchange, those systems diverged. By 10,000 BCE, there are probably thousands of different proto-languages, maybe more, each one incomprehensible to outsiders. You're watching the birth of linguistic diversity, and it's not beautiful, it's isolating, because when you can't talk to someone, you can't trust them, and when you can't trust them, you fear them, and fear leads to violence. Wrong sounds, enemy. The strangers leave the next morning, peacefully, thankfully, but 3 days later, something else happened. You're out gathering firewood when you hear sounds, human sounds, but not from your tribe. and not from the friendly strangers. Different sounds. Harsh. Aggressive. Gra gra ko. You freeze. Your heart pounds. Those aren't friendly sounds. You drop the wood. Run back toward camp. You burst into the clearing. Point frantically toward the forest. Make urgent sounds. The tribe reacts immediately. Weapons. Defensive positions. The leader looks at you. Makes a questioning sound. You point again. Try to explain through gesture. Strangers. Danger. Coming this way. He understands. Makes a loud warning sound. Kra ko. Everyone moves. Children are hidden. Women grab weapons. Men form a defensive line. And then they appear. The hostile tribe. 7 of them. All male. All armed. They're making aggressive sounds. Loud. Threatening. Gra ko. Gra ko. Gra ko. Your tribe responds in kind. Shouting back. Kra ko. It's a vocal battle. Each side trying to intimidate the other through sound alone. No words. No negotiations. Just noise and posture. The hostile tribe advances. Your tribe holds position. The leaders face off. Both making aggressive sounds. Neither backing down. And then one of the hostile tribe members throws a rock. It hits one of your tribe members in the shoulder. Instantly chaos. Violence erupts. Spears fly. Rocks are thrown. Men grapple hand to hand. You're terrified. You've never been in a fight like this. Someone rushes at you. You dodge. Barely. The fight lasts maybe 2 minutes. But it feels like forever. Finally, the hostile tribe retreats. 3 of them are wounded. 1 might be dead. Your tribe has casualties too. 2 wounded. 1 seriously. And why? What was the fight about? You'll never know, because no one could communicate. Maybe it was territory. Maybe resources. Maybe an old grudge. Or maybe it was just fear. The fear of people who sound different. Look different. Behave different. In a world without language, difference equals danger. And danger must be eliminated. D. No books, no notes, just memory decks. One evening, you're sitting by the fire when you notice something. An elderly man is speaking, or rather, making sounds. Long strings of sounds, with rhythm and pattern. The younger members of the tribe are listening, intently, repeating the sounds back to him. You realize what's happening. He's teaching, passing on knowledge. D. But not through writing, through memorization. The sounds have a pattern, a rhythm, almost like a song. This makes them easier to remember, easier to pass on. The old man is reciting the tribe's history, or maybe hunting techniques, or maybe the locations of water sources. Whatever it is, it's important. Critical information, and the only way it survives is through memory. In the modern world, you write things down, you Google them, you bookmark them, you save them to the cloud. Here, if you forget something, it's gone forever. If the old man dies before teaching the young ones, that knowledge dies with him. There's no backup, no second source, no library to consult. Just memory, fragile, fallible, human memory. You watch as one of the younger men stumbles over a sequence. The old man corrects him, patiently, repeating it again and again, until he gets it right. This is education in 10,000 BCE. Oral tradition, rote memorization, endless repetition. It's how humans preserved information for hundreds of thousands of years, before writing, before books, before the internet. We remembered, or we forgot, and if we forgot, that knowledge was lost forever. Stories passed down orally. The next night something different happens. The old man performs. That's the only word for it. He stands in the center of the circle. The fire casts his shadow large on the shelter walls. And he tells a story, not in words. In sounds, gestures, and movement. He makes deep rumbling sounds. Oh! He crouches low, spreads his arms wide. A bear. He's miming a bear. Then he stands, mimes holding a spear, makes sharp sounds. Car, car, a hunter. The story unfolds. The bear and the hunter. A confrontation. The old man moves between roles, switching back and forth. Bear, hunter, bear, hunt. His sounds change. His posture changes. His facial expressions change. It's theater, primitive theater, and everyone watches, mesmerized. Even though you don't understand all the sounds, you understand the story. The hunter confronts the bear. There's a fight. Someone dies. The hunter, both. The old man ends his performance, silent, head bowed. The tribe makes soft sounds, mourning sounds. Oh, So the hunter died. That's what the story was about. And it was a true story. Something that happened to this tribe, maybe last year, maybe decades ago, maybe generations ago. This is how they remember their history, through performed stories, passed down from elder to youth, memorized, embodied, reenacted. It's beautiful, but it's also fragile, because every time the story is told it changes slightly. Details are forgotten, new details are added. The story evolves, mutates, transforms, and after enough generations, the original truth is buried under layers of retelling. This is oral tradition, powerful, important, but imperfect, and humanity will rely on it for thousands more years before writing finally fixes stories in place. When elders die, knowledge dies. 2 weeks later, the old man gets sick. It starts with a cough, then fever, then weakness. The tribe does what it can. The healer applies herbs. They keep him warm. They give him food and water. But it's not enough. 3 days later, he dies. The tribe mourns. They make loud wailing sounds. They beat their chests. They cover their heads with ash. Grief is universal. You can see it, feel it. But then you realize something else. Everything that old man knew is gone. The hunting routes he memorized. The water sources he could find blindfolded. The medicinal plants he recognized. The stories he told. The history he carried. The techniques he'd perfected over decades. All of it. God. Yes, he taught some of it to the younger generation. They memorized some of the sounds, some of the stories, but not all of it. Not nearly all of it. There wasn't enough time. He had 70 years of accumulated knowledge, and he had maybe 10 years to pass it on before his body started failing. The math doesn't work. Some knowledge always dies with the elders, and you can see it in the faces of the tribe members. The realization. One of the younger men approaches the leader, makes questioning sounds, gestures toward the forest. He's asking something. Where is something? How do you find something? The leader doesn't know, makes an uncertain sound. He looks toward where the old man was buried, makes a sad sound. The old man knew, but now he's gone, and that knowledge is gone with him. This is the tragedy of oral culture. Every death is a lost library. Every elder who passes is a burned archive, and there's nothing anyone can do about it until writing is invented, until humans figure out how to store knowledge outside of memory. But that's thousands of years away. For now, knowledge lives and dies with people, and when they're gone, their wisdom is often gone too. Crying means sadness everywhere. After the old man's death, the tribe grieves for days, and you notice something. The expression of grief is universal. Crying, wailing, tears. These don't require language, don't need translation. A child cries when hurt. An adult cries when mourning. The sound is the same. The meaning is the same. You've cried since being here, from pain, from frustration, from loneliness, and every time someone responded, not with words, with touch, with soft sounds, with presence, because crying communicates directly, emotionally. It says, I'm in pain, I need help, I'm vulnerable, and humans respond to it, instinctively. You've seen it. A child falls, cries. Immediately the nearest adult rushes over, picks them up, makes soothing sounds. No one has to ask what's wrong. The cry tells them. This is one of the few truly universal human communications, across all cultures, all languages, all time periods. Crying means distress, and distress triggers care. It's hardwired, biological, and in a world without language, it's essential. Laughter builds bonds, but it's not all sadness and grief. There's joy here too, and laughter. One afternoon, one of the men does something clumsy. He trips over a log, falls flat on his face. He's not hurt, just embarrassed, and everyone laughs. Ha ha ha. Hey hey, the sounds of laughter. Universal, unmistakable. Even the man who fell starts laughing at himself, and suddenly the tension from the morning's hunt is gone. Everyone is relaxed, happy. Laughter does that. It breaks tension, builds bonds, creates connection. You've learned to laugh with them at shared moments of absurdity or clumsiness or surprise. And every time you laugh together, you feel more accepted, more part of the group, because laughter says, we're safe, we're together, we're okay. It's social bonding through sound. No words needed, just genuine, unguarded joy. And in a harsh world full of danger and hardship, laughter is medicine. It reminds everyone that life isn't only survival. There's play, there's fun, there's connection, and that's worth living for. Anger needs no translation, but not all emotions are positive. Anger is also universal and unmistakable. You've seen it, felt it. When someone is angry, their voice changes, loud, sharp, harsh. Their face changes, eyes narrow, jaw clenches, nostrils flare. Their body changes, tense, rigid, ready to fight. You don't need to understand the sounds to know someone is angry. You feel it, in your gut, and you respond, either with submission or with your own anger. One afternoon, two men get into an argument. You don't know what about, but you can see the anger building. Their sounds get louder. Grah, grah. Their gestures get more aggressive, pointing, pushing. Their faces contort, rage. Others step in, separate them, make calming sounds. Shh. Eventually, the anger subsides. The men walk away from each other, still tense, but no violence. Anger is dangerous here. It can escalate quickly, lead to injury, death. So the tribe has mechanisms to diffuse it. Social pressure, physical intervention. But the emotion itself, that needs no translation. Everyone recognizes anger. Everyone responds to it, because anger is a warning, a threat, a boundary being established, and ignoring it can be fatal. So you've learned to read anger, to recognize it early, to either appease it or avoid, because in a world without language, emotional intelligence isn't optional, it's survival. Children learn by watching gay. You've been watching the children, how they learn. And it's fascinating, because there are no lessons, no explanations, no step-by-step instructions. Children learn by watching, copying, trying. A small boy, maybe 5 years old, watches his father sharpen a stone tool. The father doesn't explain, doesn't demonstrate slowly, just does it, scraping the stone against another stone, again and again, creating a sharp edge. The boy picks up 2 stones, tries to copy. He does it wrong. The stones slip. He drops them. The father doesn't correct him, doesn't say no like this. He just keeps working, modeling the behavior. The boy tries again. Still wrong, but closer, again, and again, and again. Eventually, after dozens of attempts, the boy gets it. The stones scrape correctly. A small edge forms. The father glances over, makes an approving sound. That's it. That's the entire lesson. No words, no explanations, just observation and practice. And this is how all skills are taught here. Hunting, gathering, fire making, tool crafting. You watch, you copy, you fail, you try again. Eventually you learn, or you don't. And if you don't, you become a burden, useless. And in a world where everyone must contribute, useless means expendable. The children here mature fast. By age 7 or 8, they're expected to contribute meaningfully, gathering food, carrying water, watching younger children, helping with basic tasks. By age 10 or 12, they're practically adults, hunting, fighting, making decisions. There's no extended childhood, no teenage years, no time to find yourself. You work. You survive. You grow up. Tai. Or you don't survive at all. No how to exists. One day you decide to make a spear. You've seen others do it. Watch them select a straight branch. Sharpen one end. Harden it in fire. It looks simple enough. You find a branch. Not quite straight, but close. You try to sharpen it with a stone. The wood splinters. You're cutting it wrong. You try again. Different angle. The stone slips. Cuts your hand. Blood wells up. You curse. In English. Damn it. No one reacts to the words, but they see the blood. One of the men comes over. He takes the branch from you. Takes the stone. He demonstrates. Slowly. Deliberately. Holding the stone at a specific angle. Using short controlled strokes. Rotating the branch as he works. You watch. Memorize the movements. He hands it back. Gestures. Try. You try. Better this time. The wood shaves cleanly. He watches for a moment. Makes an approving sound. Walks away. Tai. That's the lesson. That's all you get. There's no manual. No YouTube tutorial. No written guide. Just watching someone who knows and trying to copy them. And hoping you get it right before you hurt yourself or someone else. Because there's no safety net here. No do-overs. Get it wrong while making a spear. You waste a branch. Get it wrong while hunting. You might starve. Get it wrong while identifying plants. You might poison yourself. Every lesson has stakes. Real stakes. And that makes learning terrifying. But also necessary. You realize how much modern education takes for granted. Teachers who explain. Books that detail every step. Videos you can pause and rewind. The ability to ask questions, to clarify. To understand why before you try. Here, you just try. And hope you don't die in the process. Ka. You assumed she was naming them. Teaching you which were which. So you memorized the sounds. Plants. Gra. Plants. Ka. Plants. The next day you went gathering alone. Found plants that looked like enid plants. You picked them. Brought them back. Put them with the other food. That night, someone ate them. Within an hour, they were vomiting. Writhing in pain. The healer came. Gave them something. Made them vomit more. Eventually they recovered. But they were weak for days. The woman you'd gathered with approached you. She was furious. She held up the plant you'd picked. Made an angry sound. Gra. Then she held up a different plant. Similar looking. Made a different sound. Ta. You'd mixed them up. Picked the wrong one. Because you didn't understand. Gra. Didn't mean it was a gra. It meant dangerous or don't eat. Or something like that. But without language. You couldn't know. You almost killed someone. Through ignorance. Through a simple mistake. The woman grabbed your hand. Dragged you into the forest. She showed you both plants. Side by side. She pointed at the differences. Leaf shape. Stem texture. Smell. She made you touch them. Smell them. Look closely. Then she made the sounds again. Clear. Distinct. Gra. Pointing at the poisonous one. Ta. Pointing at the safe one. You repeated them, over and over, until she was satisfied. Then she made a gesture, slashing across her throat. The message. Mistake again. And someone dies. You nodded. Terrified. Learning here isn't just difficult. It's life or death. And mistakes, they're not forgiven easily. Because in a world without language, there's no way to explain, I didn't know, or I misunderstood. There's just the consequence, and sometimes, that consequence is death.
No counting system. One morning, you're helping divide food. The hunt was successful yesterday. They killed 2 deer. Now the meat needs to be distributed. Fairly. So everyone gets a share. But how do you divide 2 deer among 15 people without numbers? You watch as the leader does it. He doesn't count, doesn't calculate, doesn't measure. He just looks, estimates, feels. He cuts chunks of meat, roughly equal, places them in piles. When he's done, he distributes them. 1 pile per family unit. Is it fair? Exactly equal? Probably not, but it's close enough. And no one complains. Because this is how it's always been done. You realize something. Numbers don't exist here. Not as we know them. There's no 1, 2, 3. No counting system. No mathematics. They can perceive quantity. Obviously, they know 2 deer is more than 1 deer. But they can't quantify it precisely. If you ask them how many people are in the tribe, they couldn't tell you. Not because they don't know, but because the question doesn't make sense. They could point at each person, show you, but counting, that requires abstract thought, symbolic representation, and that hasn't developed yet. You try an experiment. You hold up 3 fingers. You point at 3 stones on the ground. You make a questioning sound, trying to see if they understand the connection. The leader looks at you, confused, makes a sound. Nah, he doesn't get it. The concept of threeness, the abstract quality that 3 fingers and 3 stones share, doesn't exist in his mind. He can see 3 fingers, he can see 3 stones, but he can't extract the number 3 as an independent concept. This is pre-mathematical thinking, pre-abstract reasoning, and it limits what's possible. 3 and many are the same. The closest thing they have to numbers are rough categories. 1, a few, many, 1 deer, easy, that's a single thing. 2 deer, a few, more than 1, but not a lot. 3 deer, also a few, maybe, 4, 5, 6, all blend together into many. You noticed this during a gathering expedition. You found a cluster of berry bushes. Lots of berries. You gestured excitedly to one of the women. Tried to communicate how many. You pointed. Tried to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She looked confused. Made a sound. Nah. Then a gesture. A sweeping motion. Indicating a lot. That's all she needed to know. There are many berries. That's enough. The exact number. Irrelevant. And you realize, for most of human history, exact numbers weren't necessary. You don't need to know there are exactly 47 berries on a bush. You just need to know there are enough to gather. You don't need to count your arrows. You just need to know if you have enough for a hunt. Quantity matters. But precision doesn't. Not yet. This creates interesting situations. One day, you're trying to coordinate with another tribe member. You need to meet at a certain location. But how do you say in 3 days? You can't. There's no way to express that concept. You try gesturing, pointing at the sun, moving your hand across the sky 3 times. They look confused, make uncertain sounds. Finally, you just give up. You'll go to the location every day until they show up. It's inefficient, but it's the only option. You can't plan precisely. But this creates problems. One afternoon, the leader is planning a hunt. He's trying to coordinate, determine how many hunters to send, how much food to bring, how long to be gone. But without numbers, it's all guesswork. He looks at the hunter, mentally groups them. Enough, too many, too few. He looks at the food supplies. Enough for the journey. How many days will it take? He can't calculate, can't plan precisely. He just has to feel it out, use intuition, experience, and hope he's right. Because mistakes are costly. Take too few hunters, you might not catch anything. Take too many, you leave the camp vulnerable. Bring too little food, you run out, have to return early. Bring too much, you waste resources. Without numbers, without the ability to quantify and calculate, every decision is a gamble, and you realize how much modern life depends on numbers. Time, money, measurements, schedules, everything quantified, calculated, precise. Here, there's no 3 p.m., no meet you in 20 minutes, no I need 5 more. Just vague concepts. Soon. Later. Enough. Not enough. It's liberating in a way. No schedules, no deadlines, no pressure. But it's also limiting, because you can't coordinate complex activities without precision. You can't build a large structure without measurements. You can't plan a long journey without knowing distances and travel times. You can't organize a large group without being able to count them. Numbers unlock civilization, enable progress, create possibility. But here, in 10,000 BCE, that key hasn't been forged yet, and humanity is limited by its inability to count. You watch as the hunting party prepares to leave. They pack food, gather weapons, say goodbye to families, but they don't know how long they'll be gone. 3 days, 5, a week. They'll return when they have food, or when they run out of supplies, or when they give up. That's the plan. Vague, flexible, unquantified, and somehow it works, because it has to.
Some drums carry message at day. One evening, you hear something new, a rhythmic sound, deep, resonant, carrying across the valley. Boom, 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 boom. Everyone stops, listens. Someone grabs a large hollow log, starts hitting it with a stick. Boom, 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 boom. Responding, the distant drumming changes, a different pattern. Boom, 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 boom. Your tribe's drummer responds again, another pattern. This goes on for several minutes. Back and forth, call and response. Finally the drumming stops. The drummer makes a sound to the leader, a few short grunts, a gesture. The leader nods, seems satisfied. You just witnessed long-distance communication. The drums are a messaging system, primitive but effective. Different rhythms mean different things. Danger, all clear. Gathering happening. Hunt successful. Need help. The meanings are limited. The messages are simple, but they work, and they can carry for miles. Much farther than a human voice. Much faster than running. This is how tribes coordinate across distance. How they warn each other. How they maintain contact. Not through language, through rhythm. Over the next few days, you learn to recognize some of the patterns. A slow, steady beat, all is well. A fast, irregular beat, danger. 3 beats, pause. 3 beats, gathering meeting. A long, sustained drumming, celebration. It's a vocabulary of rhythm, limited but functional, and it allows tribes separated by miles to communicate basic information. You realize, this is proto-telecommunication. Before phones, before telegraph, before writing, humans found ways to send messages across distance. Through sound, through rhythm, through whatever worked. Smoke signals, warn of danger. A few days later, you see smoke, not from your campfire, from far away. A column of thick, dark smoke rising into the sky. Everyone notices, points, makes urgent sounds. The leader grabs dried grass, green leaves, throws them on the fire. Thick smoke billows up. He controls it, uses a hide to fan it, creates bursts. Puff, puff, a pattern, a signal. In the distance the other smoke changes, responds. Puff, 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 puff. This goes on for a while. Smoke signals back and forth. Finally your leader seems satisfied, lets the fire return to normal. He makes sounds to the tribe. Gestures, points in a direction. Something's happening. Somewhere out there. Maybe danger, maybe opportunity. But communication occurred. Across miles. Through smoke. Another tool for long-distance messaging. Less precise than drums, but visible over greater distances. Especially useful during the day, when drums might not be heard clearly. You watch as smoke signals are used several more times over the following weeks. Sometimes to coordinate hunts, different groups driving animals toward each other, sometimes to warn of threats, hostile tribes, dangerous animals, fire, sometimes just to maintain contact, to say we're here, we're okay. It's a simple system, but ingenious, using the most basic elements, fire, smoke, wind to transmit information. Humans have always found ways to communicate, to connect across space, before phones, before mail, before writing, through fire, through sound, through whatever work. Conch shells, call the tribe back. One morning you hear a new sound, a deep resonant horn, long and mournful. Boo, boo. Everyone reacts immediately, drops what they're doing, starts moving. You follow confused. They're gathering, all of them, moving to a central meeting place. You arrive. Other groups are there too. Dozens of people, maybe 100. Different tribes, different sounds, but all responding to that horn. You look around, see someone holding a large shell, a conch shell. That's what made the sound. He blows it again. The sound echoes across the valley. Boo. This is a gathering horn, a way to summon multiple tribes. For what? You're not sure at first, but then you see, trading, ceremony, social gathering. The different tribes can't really talk to each other, not with words, but they can trade, exchange goods. One group has flint, another has obsidian, another has animal hides, another has dried fish. They spread out their goods, point, gesture, negotiate through mime.
It's slow, awkward, requires patience, but it works. You watch as a man from your tribe trades 3 spear points for a large animal hide. No words, just pointing, comparing, nodding, agreement. The transaction is complete. This gathering also serves another purpose: social bonding. Young people from different tribes meet. Eye contact, smiles, gestures, potential mates, potential alliances. This is how genetic diversity is maintained, how tribes avoid inbreeding. Through these periodic gatherings, where people can connect, form relationships, sometimes leave their birth tribe to join another. The horn called them all here, across miles, from different valleys. One sound, one purpose, many tribes responding. This is another form of long-distance communication, not to send specific messages, but to coordinate large-scale social events, to bring people together, to maintain the network of human relationships that allows survival in this harsh world. And it works, because when the horn sounds, people come, they trust it, respond to it, participate, because isolation is death, connection is life, and the conch horn is the sound of connection.
Carved marks on stones. One afternoon you notice something odd. One of the men is sitting alone, carving something on a flat stone. You approach, watch. He's making marks, lines, deliberate, purposeful, scratch, scratch, scratch. He makes a vertical line, then another, 3 lines. Then he looks at 3 arrows lying beside him. He's counting, recording. You watch, fascinated. He makes another line, looks at a 4th arrow, 4 lines, 4 arrows. This is notation, primitive, but intentional. He's creating a symbol system, a way to record quantity without memorizing it. This is huge, revolutionary, because this is the first step toward writing. Not writing as we know it, but symbolic representation, using marks to represent things, to record information outside of memory. The man finishes, sets the stone aside carefully. Later, you see him reference it, count the lines, check his arrows. The stone is a record, an external memory, and it works. This is how writing began, not with words, with tallies, with counts, marks on stones, notches on bones, scratches on wood, humans recording the world around them, making the invisible visible, making the temporary permanent. You ask through gesture if you can try. The man nods, hands you a sharp stone. You scratch lines onto a rock. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you point at 4 stones on the ground. The man looks, understands, makes an approving sound. You just communicated mathematically, through symbols. It's a breakthrough, personal, small, but significant. Tally marks on bones. Over the next few weeks, you notice more of this. Someone has a bone, covered with small notches, evenly spaced. You ask through gesture what it is. They gesture toward the sky, point at the moon. Moon phases. They're tracking lunar cycles. Each notch represents 1 day, or 1 night, or 1 full moon. It's a calendar, primitive, but functional. This is how early humans tracked time, marked seasons, anticipated changes, not through language, through symbols. The person shows you how it works, points at the moon, then at the most recent notch, then gestures forward, making cutting motions in the air. When the moon is full again, they'll add another notch. It's brilliant, simple, effective, and it allows them to predict seasonal changes, when animals migrate, when plants bloom, when to prepare for winter, all without numbers, without writing, just marks on bone. Another person has a stick, notches on it too. They gesture toward a hunting ground, then count by pointing at each notch. Each notch represents a successful hunt. It's a record, a history, personal achievement tracked externally, pride, status, proof. Look how many times I've succeeded. This is the beginning of record keeping, of documentation, of history. Not written history, not detailed accounts, just marks, tallies, evidence that something happened. But it's a start. You realize humans are desperate to communicate across time, to remember. to record, to preserve, and we're figuring it out, slowly through trial and error. Marks become symbols, symbols become systems, systems become writing. But we're not there yet, not for thousands of years. For now we have scratches, notches, tallies, simple, limited, but powerful. The first alphabet emerges. One day the leader takes you back to the cave, the one with the paintings. But this time he shows you something different. On a wall, away from the animal paintings, there are marks, not pictures, not animals, just geometric shapes, lines, circles, dots, triangles. They're arranged in patterns, clusters. The leader points at them, makes sounds, different sounds for different shapes. Ka, for a circle. Na, for a line. Ra, for a dot. He's teaching you this shape equals this sound. This is proto-writing, sound symbol correspondence. Not an alphabet yet, but the seed of one. Different shapes representing different concepts or sounds. It's crude, ambiguous, limited, but it's intentional, systematic, symbolic. He continues, points at a cluster of shapes, circle, line, dot, ka, na, ra. He's stringing sounds together, using the symbols to create sequences. Is this a word, a phrase, a concept? You don't know, but it's something meaningful, repeatable, recordable. He gestures for you to try. You point at shapes, make the sounds, ka, ra. He nods, approving. Then he makes those sounds back to you, points at the same shapes. We understand each other, through symbols. This is the birth of literacy. The first tiny steps, shapes representing sounds, sounds combining into meaning. Meaning that can be recorded, preserved, transmitted. Not through memory, not through performance. Through marks on a wall, permanent, unchanging, eternal. And someday, thousands of years from now, this will evolve. These shapes will become letters. These sounds will become phony, and humans will finally be able to record language, preserve it, share it across time and space. But right now, in this cave, it's just scratches on stone, meaningful scratches, but just scratches. The leader looks at you, makes a sound, proud, hopeful. He knows this is important, even if he doesn't know why. He's creating something, building something, a bridge between thought and permanence, between memory and record, between now and forever, and you're witnessing it. The birth of symbolic thought, the first steps toward literacy. It's beautiful and heartbreaking because you know how long it will take, how many generations will pass before this becomes writing, before humans can truly communicate across time. But it's starting, here, now, in this cave, with one person making marks, and another learning to read them. This is how civilization begins, not with grand declarations, not with revolutions, but with small, persistent efforts to communicate, to record, to remember, to preserve, one mark at a time. You open your eyes, getting you're lying in bed. Your bed, soft mattress, clean sheets, a pillow under your head. Getting in, you sit up, disoriented. Getting in, your room, your things, your world. You grab your phone. It lights up. Texts. Notifications. The date and time displayed clearly. You can read them, understand them, respond to them, with words. Actual words. Complex, structured sentences. Abstract concepts. Precise meanings. You can say yesterday. You can say maybe. You can say because. You can explain yourself. Clarify. Elaborate. And suddenly, you realize what you had, what you've always had. That's a language. Not just sounds, not just gestures, but language. A system so sophisticated, so powerful, that you could think thoughts that wouldn't have been possible in 10,000 BCE. You couldn't have this thought about thoughts without the words to think it. You stand up, walk to the mirror. You look the same, but you feel different. Because you just survived a world without language, where every conversation was a guess, where every interaction was a risk, where every interaction was a risk. where a misunderstanding meant violence, where forgetting meant death, and you wouldn't have lasted. Not really. A few weeks, maybe. If you were lucky, if you learned fast, if you didn't make fatal mistakes. But long term, no chance, because you're not adapted for that world. Your brain works differently. Your expectations are different. You need words, need language, need the ability to communicate precisely. Without it, you're lost. The people in 10,000 BCE weren't stupid. They weren't primitive in the sense of lesser. They were brilliant. Adapting, surviving, creating. They built the foundation for everything we have now. Language, culture, civilization. All of it started with them, with grunts and gestures, with cave paintings and carved marks, with humans desperate to connect, to communicate, to be understood. And they did it. Over thousands of years, they evolved communication into language, and language into writing, and writing, to this, into a world where you can text a friend across the world, where you can read words written centuries ago, where you can learn anything, anytime, through symbols on a screen. We take it for granted, but it's a miracle built on the backs of people who couldn't even say thank you. So thank them, remember them, the humans before letters, before words, before language, who communicated anyway, who survived anyway, who built the world we live in now. Drop a comment below. Could you survive without language? What shocked you most about pre-literate communication? Where should we time travel next? And if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button, because we've got more historical deep dives coming. Viking, Roman empires, medieval plagues. Where do you want to go? You decide. Now get some sleep and be grateful, because tonight you can say goodnight, and that's something humans couldn't say for hundreds of thousands of years. Sweet dreams.